Alright folks, if you thought Resident Evil was done rewriting its own legacy, I want you to think again, and think hard. Because Capcom has finally pulled back the curtain on Resident Evil Requiem, and boy, does it look awesome. I'm seriously hyped, because this is our return to Raccoon City, a confrontation with the franchise's deepest scars, and a total psychological nightmare. Today I'm going to be breaking down 10 huge things you can expect, covering key details, story, gameplay, and the horror that defines this game. Stick till the end and make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel. Resident Evil Requiem is a full mainline entry in a franchise milestone. First things first, Requiem is not a spin-off or a side experiment. It is the 9th mainline entry in the franchise, and Capcom is treating it like a major turning point. Launching on February 27, 2026 for PS5, Xbox Series XS, and PC, it is positioned for the first big AAA release of 2026. That timing matters because Capcom clearly wants this to stand tall even in a crowded year. Also, Requiem is designed as a narrative milestone. The developers have described it as a eulogy for the long-running series, meaning it reflects on the past while setting the stage for what comes next. This is why the game drops numbered titles altogether. The way I see it, by moving away from Resident Evil 9 branding and embracing a name with thematic weight, Capcom gives itself freedom to explore legacy, grief, and closure without being locked into a rigid sequel structure. The timeline finally locks into place around modern-day Raccoon City. One of the most confusing things about Resident Evil has always been its timeline. I know that because I still get confused sometimes. But Requiem clears that up in a big way. Art director Tomonori Takano confirmed that the game takes place around 2028, roughly 30 years after Raccoon City's destruction in 1998. This aligns with several subtle clues from earlier games, including a letter written by Alyssa Ashcroft in 2016 and the reveal that she died 8 years before Requiem's events. Grace Ashcroft being in her early 20s also fits perfectly. It is a big deal because Requiem is not just revisiting old locations. It's asking what happens decades later when the world has tried to move on, but the damage never really healed. Raccoon City is no longer an active disaster zone. It is a scar. Honestly, that sense of time passing, combined with unresolved trauma, creates a very different kind of horror, one rooted in history rather than immediate chaos. Grace Ashcroft is the most vulnerable protagonist the series has had. Grace Ashcroft is not built like a traditional Resident Evil hero. She is an FBI intelligence analyst, not a super soldier or a battle-hardened cop. The developers have repeatedly emphasized that she is introverted, easily frightened, and deeply affected by trauma. And that alone, fellas, completely changes how horror works. Grace does carry a handgun and uses a flashlight, but her greatest strength is deductive reasoning. She analyzes, observes, and survives through intelligence rather than raw power. Her reactions are also intentionally human. She flinches, panics, and struggles in ways that past protagonists would not. According to the director, Grace is not meant to feel like a superhero. She survives using her own strength, and sometimes that strength is simply pushing forward despite fear. I feel this design choice directly feeds into the horror. When your character is scared, you feel it more. The encounters become more tense because you know Grace is not built to dominate her enemies. The Renwood Hotel is where personal trauma meets franchise lore. The central narrative hook of Requiem revolves around the Renwood Hotel. Grace is assigned to investigate a series of mysterious deaths caused by an unidentified disease, only to discover that the latest victim was found in this abandoned hotel. The name alone shakes her, because it is the same place where her mother, Alyssa Ashcroft, was murdered 8 years earlier. This location serves as more than just a crime scene. It is a psychological minefield. The trailer and previews show flashes from a first-person perspective, strongly resembling the VHS tape segments from Resident Evil 7. These sequences suggest that players may relive moments from the past, either through Grace's memories or reconstructed events. The hotel is also tied to something much bigger. Capcom has confirmed that investigating the Renwood Hotel leads Grace toward uncovering hidden truths about the original 1998 outbreak. That makes this location both deeply personal and massively important to the series' lore. Requiem promises to expose new truths about the T-virus outbreak. For decades, the destruction of Raccoon City has been treated as a closed chapter. Requiem challenges that assumption. Capcom has explicitly stated that the Renwood Hotel case will guide Grace toward uncovering hidden truths behind the 1998 zombie outbreak. This is a huge promise. It tells us that not everything about the T-virus, Umbrella, or the city's annihilation was fully understood. The trailer reinforces this by showing that the explosion that wiped out Raccoon City was thermobaric, not nuclear. That distinction matters because it explains why parts of the city are still explorable decades later. I think it also implies deliberate containment rather than total erasure. Story-wise, this opens the door for conspiracies, cover-ups, and long-buried experiments coming back into the light. Horror here becomes more about the realization that the truth was always uglier than anyone knew. Addictive fear defines how the horror is designed to work. Director Koshi Nakanishi describes the core concept of Resident Evil Requiem as addictive fear. The idea is simple, but brutal. Even when the player is terrified, they should not want to stop playing. This philosophy builds directly on Resident Evil 7, but pushes it further. I mean, fear is not just about jump scares anymore in 2026. It is about tension loops. You are scared, you adapt, you overcome a situation, and the sense of accomplishment pulls you forward into the next nightmare. This mirrors Grace's own journey of confronting fear instead of running from it. Requiem is designed so that survival feels earned. When you finally escape a stalker, solve a puzzle under pressure, or survive with minimal resources, the relief is intense. That emotional swing between dread and triumph is what keeps the experience gripping, even when every instinct tells you to put the controller down. The new stalker enemy is built to dominate space and psychology. Requiem introduces a terrifying new stalker enemy that has already left a strong impression despite limited footage. This creature is massive, intelligent, and unsettlingly patient. It does not always rush the player. Instead, it plays mind games. It can shut off lights, investigate hiding places, and emerge from ceilings in fluid, unnatural movements. In one scene, its body blocks an entire hallway before it even fully stands. In another, it slowly hunches forward, filling the space with its presence. The most disturbing part is that its final form has not been revealed yet. Gameplay-wise, this enemy reinforces stealth, sound awareness, and environmental interaction. Forget about avoiding damage. You are basically trying to avoid being noticed at all. This kind of stalker turns familiar mechanics like hiding and movement into nerve-wracking decisions. Metal and noir defines the game's visual and tonal identity. From what it looks like, Resident Evil Requiem is guided by a concept called metal and noir. This is basically modern suspense drama with industrial, reflective environments. Unlike the rural decay of Resident Evil 7 or the gothic isolation of Village, Requiem leans heavily into urban spaces. Iron, steel, and metallic surfaces dominate the scenery, especially in Raccoon City. These materials amplify lighting effects, reflections, and shadows, which are crucial for horror. Noir influences also suggest moral ambiguity, investigative storytelling, and a focus on atmosphere over spectacle. Takano mentioned that many scenarios are framed like modern dramas, hinting at multiple locations and perspectives. Everything supports the narrative themes of legacy and grief. Everything feels cold, heavy, and oppressive. The city itself becomes a character, reflecting the weight of the past in every darkened street and ruined corridor. Requiem pushes realism to unsettling levels with next-gen fidelity. Capcom is clearly pushing technical boundaries with Requiem. Character detail is a major focus, especially with Grace. Subtle details like her cheeks reddening when hanging upside down or refined eye movements add to immersion. Skin textures, sweat droplets, and lightning reactions are all significantly upgraded. One standout detail is Grace's hair. Capcom hired a professional wig maker to create a physical model for her hair, even flipping it upside down to study how it behaves. When that was not enough, the team borrowed advanced strand technology from the Pragmata project to achieve the desired realism. I know, these details may sound minor, but in horror, realism amplifies discomfort. When a character feels physically real, their fear feels real too. This level of fidelity makes every close-up, every moment of panic, far more unsettling. Single-player focus and legacy characters shape the future. At one point, Requiem experimented with open-world and online elements, but Capcom ultimately scrapped those ideas. The team realized this was not what fans wanted, and the final game is a focused, offline, single-player survival horror experience. I think this decision reinforces tension and narrative control. There is no distraction from the atmosphere. There is also the lingering question of legacy characters like Leon Kennedy. While he was considered a protagonist, the team admitted that his competence makes him a poor fit for pure horror. Combined with the game's eulogy theme, this strongly suggests that familiar characters may return in meaningful ways. Requiem is not the ending of the franchise. It is honoring its past before moving forward. Resident Evil Requiem is a haunting return to the franchise's roots. With that deep lore, personal trauma, and relentless horror, everything the franchise stands for into one defining experience. This legit feels like both a goodbye and a new beginning. Let us know what you think about Requiem in the comments. Drop a like if you enjoyed this breakdown, and make sure you're subscribed for more deep dives like this. We will see you in the next one.